After classes began at UNC Chapel Hill.
Possible active shooter on campus.
A tragedy that's become all too familiar at schools nationwide.
Has a 9mm possible Asian male.
I'm grieved to report that one of our faculty members was killed in this shooting. This loss is devastating.
After the initial call for shots fired, the entire campus went on lockdown. A school alert warning an armed, dangerous person on or near campus. Go inside now. Avoid windows. Heavily armed officers swarmed the campus. Some students walking down the street with their hands up. Some sheltering in place.
So immediately we all just stayed hiding in the stalls, squatting on the toilets, just scared. We didn't know what was happening.
Other terrified students fleeing through a first-floor window, backpacks dangling. An elementary school across the road also placed on lockdown. Then, less than 90 minutes after the terrifying ordeal began,
I think that's him.
A suspect was taken into police custody.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us at the Esteban Hours Week in Reviews Sound Off. Today's topic, another shooting. This time in North Carolina. The University of North Carolina recently yesterday had a shooting, and unfortunately, one of its professors lost their lives. But before we go into that, let's bring in our panel, author and activist and co-host of the Esteban Hours Week in Review, Jeremy Baker, and content creator and co-producer of the Esteban Hours Week in Review, Mike Foligno. Hey, gentlemen.
What's up?
Hey.
How you doing?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing
I'd be better. I somehow managed to pull a muscle on my neck while doing absolutely no physical activity whatsoever. So other than that, I'm okay. I just can't turn my neck to the left or my head to the left very far at the moment. The joys
that behind you?
40s. Yeah, right. I'd be like, I'm dead. I'm dead.
Okay.
So
so
we
we have
another shooting, huh?
Another shooting. An absolute another shooting. It's yeah. It's crazy. But before we get into that, let's welcome back to the show a new, I should say first, let's welcome to the show a new commentator for today, Miss Gail. Bring her in. Old
Hello.
Ladies need love too. How you doing, Gail?
Pretty good. And we do.
You need some love?
Of course.
All right, we all do.
Everyone needs love.
Anybody offering?
Well, you got 3 men right here.
Hey. That's funny.
Okay. All right, and welcoming back to the show, joining us today is radio personality and podcaster of Vita Talks, Miss Ovita. Hey, Ovita.
Hey, hello, everyone. So good to see everybody.
Hey.
It's great to see you too. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing very well. Thank you. I'm doing very
good,
well.
Good. Okay. We've got a large panel tonight, so let's just get started. So we have this newest shooting that was held at the University of North Carolina by a graduate student. He's been charged with murder for fatally killing a professor. Yes. And he was charged with first-degree murder and having a gun on education property, because you know that's also against the law. The victim is identified as, I'm just going to say Z Yang, because I can't pronounce that name. He was an assistant professor in the Department of Applied Physical Sciences who worked for this university since 2019. Now, this situation just start, there's still more to the story, more that we're learning. It's a developing story. So we still have yet to find out what was the motive behind this, right? But let's talk about the situation of guns, of how easy, once again, for someone to get their hands on a gun and just do whatever they want with it. I'd like to start with Mike?
Well, I'm glad you started with the guns, not because I'm going to go on a "it's the guns" rant, but it actually highlights the problem that I'll say progressives have been trying to put forward for a while. We've had a lot of racially motivated shootings this past weekend, probably the week before that. And we're getting used to, unfortunately, seeing all these shootings have a racial motive, a white supremacist motive.
Yeah.
But we are not trying to, no one's trying to take away guns at all in the first place. We're trying to make sure that if there are guns, they are in the right hands. But the problem is this person that caused this horror, maybe he wouldn't have shown up on any background checks. Maybe he wouldn't have had any red flags, nothing in his personality, right? He's a highly educated. This is someone that has a high degree of reason and logic. This is someone that had promise, could have been doing great things for all of us, but he was able to get a gun, whether or not he snapped, whether or not he planned this, whether or not he had a rough day and there was too much stress. He was able to get a gun. And there's something wrong with that, because if one really good person with a gun turns bad, then what does it matter who has them? We have to make sure that less and less people can have access to these things. That's just my opinion.
How are we able to tell in a situation like this one, where this gentleman, he wasn't from the street, he wasn't being abused? I mean, we don't know. But he didn't fit the normal characteristic of shooters, right?
Exactly.
He seemed to have a head on his shoulder. He was a graduate of many different sciences, and not just here, I believe in his home country as well. So do you think, even if we had better gun regulations, do you think that would have stopped this gentleman in this case, who appeared to be normal?
That's why it can't be motivated by politics or ideology. We have to find some way to limit, unfortunately, guns getting into hands. Maybe we just need longer regulations like they have in Japan, where you have to take tests for years and prove and keep up with your license and have insurance. Maybe we need to find a way to deter just anyone from being able to go get a gun.
Right. What do you think?
I personally, on this one, I don't think that this. I think this is one of those ones that wasn't going to be prevented, no matter how many background checks. Maybe a cooling off period might have changed his mind, giving him time to think what he's trying to. You know what I mean? Because maybe this was an impulsive decision. You can go get a gun and leave with it, and then go do what you got to do. Had there been a 2-week cooling off period or a 30-day or whatever, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But let me just, before we get too far into it, I just want to play a segment of this video to kind of give people an idea that this guy is, on paper, was a genius. I mean, he really had his I mean, this guy's spent his entire life getting educated. So just real quick, and I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Suspect Tai Lei Chi so far. He's a second-year doctoral student at UNC. He joined what's known as the Yan Research Group in January of 2022. At UNC, he studies very complex science, nanoparticle synthesis, light matter interaction, spectra analysis, and machine learning. He has a master's degree in material science and engineering from Louisiana State University and a bachelor's degree in physics from Wuhan University in China. According,
I mean, that is not your classic degree.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and still furthering his education. I mean, this guy could have been one of the greatest minds ever. You know what I mean? By all things. I mean, some of those things I've never even heard of before that he's apparently got degrees in. You know what I mean? I've never heard of nanopart. I don't even remember what it was at this point.
Yeah, but that goes to tell you. I mean, education don't help the person's mind. It helps you to learn information. It teaches you what you need to know about a particular subject. It doesn't develop a character. It doesn't give you sometimes it doesn't give you even good common sense. It just gives you knowledge in the areas of whatever your studies are. Now, we don't know what was this man's motivation to do this or why he snapped. life, and he just I saw that it was one of his counselors. So I don't know if his counselor said something to him or triggered him. I don't know. We don't know yet, because like you said, this is a developing story, because that's why this is another case. You can't judge a book by its cover, because it seemed like, because he was so intelligent in that way, that he wouldn't go and make such a rash decision. But we don't know what agitated him. We know I've been studying things about men, as far as even committing suicide and doing rash things like that. It could be an acute, stressful situation. We don't know what pushed that man buttons.
Yep.
And that probably caused him to go and do this. Now the thing is too, it's sad that, because we done had so many shootings in school, and I know they said that they had been doing drills and preparing for this type of situation, but like they do in the city out here in school, when they had knives and guns, they had metal. When I was in high school, unfortunately, we had to walk through metal detectors. It looked like you need some metal detectors, scanners. I mean, you need trained military ops at the door. It's crazy. It's like you got to take extreme measures to keep these things from happening in schools.
Definitely. But now you're talking about the almighty dollar. That will cost billions of dollars for every school to equip themselves with metal detectors.
That's true.
I'm not mistaken.
But then,
the first day of class, right?
This is the second day of school. The second day of school.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I heard them say it. Yeah.
It's interesting if I don't want to call them the opposition in this, because I'm trying not to make this political, but if the people that don't want to have any stricter controls on guns have their way, fine. Then you have to put metal detectors everywhere, every single place, in doctors' offices, in hospitals,
the movies.
I'm sorry, because if you're going to say, and you know what, if they say no to that, then what do they actually want? Then they want a lawless land, because if you're going to have weapons in people's hands, and we're going to pretend that good guys with guns save everyone, then why don't we make sure we know when the bad guys have guns? Let's just make everyone safe then. Hand out Kevlar clothes and put metal detectors everywhere. Those are your only options.
I'm telling you, I have a theory why nobody will do anything about gun regulations. It's because of all this Civil War talk. They can't have a Civil War unless people have guns. That is why they don't want to get rid of the guns. They don't want more regulations to take away guns from people that they're trying to rile up and literally tell to go to Civil War. Go ahead, just go.
If we go to a Civil War, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money.
Why do you say that?
Well, the gun manufacturers are going to do everything they can to get their patriotic weapons of death into everyone's hand, left and right. There'll be blue guns, there'll be red guns. They'll sell rainbow guns so they could sell more in June, right? They'll have ones for Black History Month, and they'll have ones for Christmas, obviously, with little reindeer horns. But they'll do whatever they can, because let's face it, if you go around the world and the history, especially in the 20th century, war is more about profit than any ideology, any border dispute. So if we're going to do that in the most capitalized country in the history of the planet, someone's going to be making money off that Civil War.
Dude, they just came out with a JR-15, a Junior 15.
Yeah, I've seen that.
One that is built for children, an AR-15 built for children. That's some bullshit right there. I'm
ridiculous.
sorry.
That's what it is. It's ridiculous. So, Gail.
Yes.
How you doing, Miss Gail?
I want to know, maybe I'm insane. I'm old. I just don't get it. But none of this makes sense to me. We're instilling hate to our kids and to other people. And that's what keeps all these guns and stuff going. Nobody sits and talks. They just want to grab the gun and shoot you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, but I guess you gave me your answer. I was going to ask you, so how do you feel about guns?
I personally don't like them. Don't want to see them.
And if
I'm
you
afraid of them, really. I'm afraid.
I know you live in a state where you can't lawfully have a gun within your house, but if you did live in one of these,
she'll be back.
If I'm here, you can't get rid of me that easy.
So if you lived in a state where you were able to have a gun, would you?
No.
Why not?
My luck, I'd shoot myself in the foot.
That happens a lot.
There is always that risk.
Didn't the leader of the Oath Keepers, the guy who just went to prison for sedition,
he shot his
30 years,
freaking
shot
eye
his
out of
own
the gun
eye out?
range.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
He's
Ain't that
literally
something?
the kid.
know,
He's like the grown-up version from the kid
Of
in the toy
Ralphie.
store. You're gonna shoot your eye out with that thing,
Yep.
and that's
Oh,
what
yeah,
happens. He got
yeah.
older and
Oh
shot
wow,
his freaking eye
yeah,
He shot his eye
yeah.
out.
So who
Well,
thinks
you know
that-
what? I think if say that again. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I
go
would
ahead,
have a gun.
Olivia.
I mean, we are able to conceal and carry, and I want to conceal and carry. One thing, because I'm out a lot by myself, and I'm out doing, because I am in radio and I do a lot of events. Most of the time, I'm alone, and so when I get in there, I'm good. Everybody know Ovita, but I'm still walking out. But then I know you at the event, but I don't know you. You know what I mean? So. I said, I'm gonna give me some pepper spray or something. I said, and it's not like I be in bad areas, but you just never know. I think when you do everything done responsibly, that's the thing. It's like irresponsible. And I feel like this with guns, just like with anything else, it's all about money. It's not about us. It's all about the mighty dollar. They don't care that people are killing themselves. I really don't believe they care about these schools getting shot up, because they're not really doing a whole lot to protect these schools. They could do, let me tell you, if you could protect the president, if you could protect if you could protect all these other people that you want to protect, you can do better and have better strategies in place to protect these children. You're not going to tell me that the government do what they want to do.
That's right. And we damn sure have enough money to go around to do it.
Well, we are
Yeah.
the world's
no matter what they say.
largest seller and maker of weapons.
Guns.
Tax
Yeah.
billionaires.
So
We
Okay.
are the world's
I've got a
largest.
question.
Yes.
So, just in the event that some might try to politicize this, because there are some facts that came out that this gentleman, he needed an interpreter in court. He is a citizen of China, and he is only here on a visa. Did everyone know that?
I did not know that. That does happen a lot.
I knew
on
he needed
educational visas.
I knew he needed an interpreter. I didn't know the other details. Yeah.
I mean, students go between countries all the time.
Yeah,
he
they
also
do.
did get
They
quite
do.
a lot of his education in the United States. So
I think, what was the other one?
probably not
Louisiana?
like, yeah, exactly. So he wasn't just like here for like a week and this happened. He was familiar with our country. I'm not saying he understood English to the degree that he could help defend himself in a court of law, but
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I barely speak good enough English to defend myself in a court of law. Are you crazy? Like, for real.
And as a grad
Yes.
student, isn't this now teaching us that anybody could be a shooter?
Yep.
Everybody has a breaking point.
I've always
Ovita
thought
said
that.
it. Ovita said it. Mike said it before the show. Everybody in this country, everybody in the world has a breaking point. Some people are able to go to that breaking point and not cross it. Some people break, and then this is what happens.
You're
That's when I
100%
start
right.
knowing things.
There are breaking points we accept, right? If your kid's in danger,
Yeah.
if your pet's in danger, we like to almost romanticize the acceptable moments that we snap, but we refuse to acknowledge the darker moments that we snap. What is the anxiety?
Yeah.
And now again, there is absolutely no excuse for shooting anyone for any reason. But if you
Unless
refuse to
self-defense.
acknowledge, of course. But if you refuse to acknowledge the no, you're right though, because that is a reasonable situation. But if we refuse to accept the psychological facts that even smart people can go crazy, sometimes someone who might not be that educated can say something quite brilliant. The human brain, the human mind, the human emotional being is not as simple as you could take this test, you can prove this. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It just doesn't.
That's true.
Some of the most brilliant people in the world have psychological issues. I work with a lot of mentally challenged, depression. I mean, schizophrenia. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people with those type of disorders over a period of 20 some years, and some of them are very brilliant, but they hear voices. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, we don't know what's going on in the mind. We can't look at someone because they possess all those things, and they might have a mental disorder. He probably didn't take his pills this morning, or for the last couple of, I'm there with that.
It's
how many people go undiagnosed?
Well,
Yes.
I can't remember if I got this from a movie or if this is an actual quote, but somebody said like oftentimes brilliance is misinterpreted as insanity, because a lot of times brilliant people just have these insane off the wall ideas that we can't as normal citizens see. You know what I mean?
Hey, the scientist that discovered genetics and the DNA helix did so while he was tripping on acid. I mean,
and they've said for decades that the most mentally challenged people can be the smartest people.
That's funny. I've noticed that. Like, you will often
artistic.
find I have very
some of the best music.
That's it. Autism. And one of the things that I've had very limited but some experiences is people with Down syndrome are often extremely empathetic people. So okay, maybe they're not going to solve a math equation like the person who just shot up their school, but I'll take someone who is emotionally brilliant any day of the week.
Right. Now, Gail, you were telling me, over the weekend, you were sharing with me, I should say, your feelings on how the shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, affected you. Share that with us.
Well, it just got me thinking of everybody is in this hate mode. And we're in, I just get mad and then I can't talk. That we're fueling the hatred in the kids, in other adults, and this is just like snowballing.
Right.
If we would just try to be calm, I guess that's a little far-fetched.
Do you think that's even possible in this time and day under the political warfare that we've all been experiencing?
Probably not, but when I grew up many moons ago.
Hey, Antonio.
You didn't answer your parents back. You sat and you talked things out. You didn't go grab the gun or grab something to hit them with. Like I said, I don't get it.
You used these, right?
Oh yeah.
You used your fist.
Right. Although
that was it.
I can't fight my way out of a paper bag with instructions written on it. I'd rather walk away.
Okay, but let's teach more of that. Maybe you don't have to win an argument. Maybe we need to teach that a lot of times arguments happen because everyone's life is chaos, and sometimes when you build up enough pressure, it comes out as intentional, and really everyone just needs to blow off steam. How many arguments happen and 5 minutes later you're like, oh, what were we fighting about?
Right. Yeah, I think another problem we have these days is the internet.
Yeah,
that's what a therapist is for. That's what a psychiatrist is
Everyone
for.
needs therapy.
People so afraid to seek therapy, but they're not afraid to kill somebody.
Weakness, they see it as.
You know what? You know what's going on with these generations now? Is they have not been taught emotional intelligence. They don't know how to handle these problems. And I mean, if you really, it's sad, but look at how when I was young, when you all were younger, when you got bullied. Now children are actually hanging themselves because they're getting bullied.
Right.
It's so sad. There's so many stories
terrible.
of suicide because of kids are online cyberbullying them. They're not even at their school. You know, like
No escape.
I got bullied because I was the sanctified girl, and I had the long dresses on and, you know, covered up from neck to toe, but I never ever thought to go and kill myself. It's these children. A lot of them. A lot of these people have been even looking at the children. They haven't been taught. They've been having their way almost all their life, so they don't know how to process real life and real issues. So a lot of them really, if you look in their past, like I don't know if you all remember the young Caucasian guy, teenager, got off because he was spoiled. They put
The white
it.
kid
They had a
with the rape.
yes, they had a term for it because he had his way out. That actually won his case. He was spoiled all his life. Look, I know everybody don't believe it. Yes, it's crazy. It's a lot of, it's just it's different. The parenting is different. You get in trouble if you spank your kid. I mean, I know everybody don't believe in spankings, but I don't believe in beating, but I will pop that hand. Okay, I will pop the booty. I have, and he's okay. He's just fine.
Look, there's a difference
you
between
know,
beating and scaring them a little bit.
Nice about it. She's
Yeah.
being nice about it.
yeah.
It's more just shocking them out
Because
of
I
their
got
mode.
let me tell you, I got a whooping, y'all. I had got it, but I didn't get too many. I only needed one. Let me tell you, I only needed one,
Listen,
and that's it.
It's called we got our ass beat. That's it. We got our ass beat.
But I didn't do it. Let me tell you, my mother was crazy. She on there to look at me, and that was it. That was all.
Right.
I didn't get in trouble, you know, because my mother was about it. Yeah. So it's a lot of things like that going on. Yeah.
Ovita, I found the kid. It was called affluenza. He killed four while he was drunk driving, and he was basically held not responsible because he just was so sheltered. He didn't know any better.
What?
That is true. That's it. Yes.
Yep.
That's an actual case.
Affluenza.
That's crazy.
It's an actual case. I mean, no, thank you. That was great. I like that you did because I'm not at the computer, but it's really crazy.
All right. So basically the problem is guns, right? The problem is guns. That was the problem, that is the problem, and that remains to be the problem. Too many guns in the hands of too many people, smart or not, young or old, black or white or Asian, okay, who are
Chinese,
are able, willing, and ready to just shoot off at the height of their anger and mental ability. And that is a real problem in the United States. It's been a problem in the United States. And I believe there's no other country like that goes through this like we do here in America.
Nope.
Why is that?
That's crazy.
They made a choice to protect their citizens. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
I think it's just all money.
Have been
and
pumping funds into our Congress and our government for decades, almost largely unchecked. But now this is the result. This is what you get. You get too many people with guns, unregulated people. There are gun shops that shouldn't even exist. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, we're just talking about the guns that are registered. I mean, we're not even talking about guns that are bought that aren't registered.
Right.
You know what I mean? Illegal gun, stuff like that. I mean, but too many people have too many guns and they're way too angry. And again, from the top down, they're just echoing this merciless, relentless campaign of hate and bullshit.
And way too quick and to want to end someone else's life over their anger, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what happened to punching a hole in the wall?
I did that a lot.
You know, or
Go,
going to
yeah,
the gym and working it out. What happened to
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
It's
Even
just,
slapping the
yeah.
shit out of him. I'm sorry, even slapping the shit out of him is better than shooting him, for crying out loud.
Right.
You might get a little bit of
Right.
trouble, but damn.
But shooting them is the easiest
And-
way to go.
You're right.
Yeah.
No consequence.
Well,
He can
that's when
shoot
they don't
from
want
a
them
mile away.
around anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be happy when more things come out about this case because it's a lot that's not been said. Like, why would he go and target this person? Out of all the other people in the school, like, I know that was his counselor. What was conversations? I've talked to a counselor. I never wanted to shoot them. So it's going to be,
Right.
It seemed like a
it's going to be
targeted thing. Like,
interesting.
What was his motive?
Yes.
And, what was his
It
motive?
seemed personal.
It wasn't
it was
indiscriminate.
very personal.
His entire life, basically.
Yeah.
It wasn't a attempted mass shooting. It doesn't look like it anyway. It seems like he was after
Right.
a specific individual.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a personal thing. That's why I can't wait to hear more details come out because I know mass shooters, they go in and just start shooting everybody. They just start shooting, but they don't go for one specific person. Like, I want to know more details. And I'm going to be listening very closely. Yeah, because they say they're still investigating the case. So I definitely want to know what made this young man snap.
We will update our audience as to what were the inside effects or motives of this situation. But however, this is just yet another sad situation that gets entered into the books of the many gun murders and killings from state to state to state. It's like each state picks a day or a week. All right, this week is North Carolina. Next week is South Carolina. Right. Last week it was Florida. Right? It just goes on.
Actually, it alternates between other states and Florida. It's like Florida, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Florida.
It's crazy.
It's
and then you know what perpetuates all these things, and it's just true, is media. It's the media. Social media has just made all these people extra, I wouldn't say crazy, but I did just say crazy, but it made them it's just extra. And it's like it's crazy. That's the influence.
It's increased the curiosity of guns. Social media.
It has.
True.
They have groups and stuff. They have groups for everything. So all kind of crazy stuff to get these people connected from all over the world. And you know what? Social media is not going anywhere. People love social media. That's how we connect through social media. But I think when they get a little more restrictions on social media, I think it should be somewhat restrictions on certain groups. I know they want us to have freedom, but I don't think they should have hate groups. I don't think they should have, but I know some people, that's the sad part, really love guns in a positive way. They collect guns. They go, I know people go to the gun range, and stuff like that. So it's sad that would be affected. But
they're called ammosexuals.
I think ammosexuals.
Yep.
Ammosexuals.
So guns are a big thing around here. We actually have a huge gun distribution shop, like 15 miles from here. But guns are big around my area.
I'm
other
sure
than
you do.
a small city in Pennsylvania. So people love their damn guns around here.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Some state.
Say that again.
You're welcome. I said certain states that's just normal. Like kids 6-year-olds, they know how to hunt, they drive, they shoot rifles. It's just, it's a regular common thing. It's just not common to go around shooting up schools. But that's what we draw the line.
But it looks like it's becoming common, right?
Yeah.
Looks like it's been the school year just started. So this is what we are foreseeing for the next 10 months. It's absolutely shameful and incredible. But we'll stick by the story, and we'll bring updates to the audience as they come in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me today on this sound off. Gail, I think she was having some issues with her mic. Either she couldn't hear us or we couldn't hear her, so that's why she hasn't said anything in the last couple of minutes. But Gail, you could just wave and say hi.
Gail is super cute. You are super adorable, Gail.
Tell her she's my favorite fan.
They said you're super cute, Gail, and you are their favorite fan. All right. All right. So with that, we are going to bid a good evening. Thank you, everybody, and I will catch you on the next live.